Former Congressman Jacinto will explain his complaints against Senator Risa Hontiveros regarding allegations of manufacturing witnesses. Good morning. I am Attorney Karen Jimeno. We're bringing you the hottest issues here at the forefront.
Ako po si Michael Maurilio alias Rene. Hindi po ako pinilit na magsalita ng katotohanan. Kusang loob ko pong inilalahad ang mga nagawa kong kasalanan at mga plano laban kay Pastor Apollo Quiboloy at sa Kingdom Ministry. Ako po yung witness, kinuwang witness ni Senator Risa Hontiveros na nakatakip yung muka. Pero ngayon, hindi na sapagkat nagsasabi na ako ng totoo. Binayaran po ako ni Senator Risa Hontiveros para mag-testify laban kay PRRD, VP Sara at kay Pastor Apollo Quiboloy. Lahat ng sinabi ko at kasama ko doon na nag-witness sa Senado ay ginawa lamang ni Senator Risa upang papagsakin si Pastor at ang buong kingdom at kunin ang kanilang mga ari-arian.
The video you have seen is making the rounds of social media since last week. He is Michael Murillo, alias Rene, presented as one of the witnesses in the Senate hearing last year. Alias Rene accused Pastor Quiboloy of grave abuses. Now he is recanting his sworn testimony. In this video, alias Rene alleged bribery and coaching by the camp of Senator Risa. He was allegedly paid 500,000 pesos to testify with additional payments for every Duterte member or supporter dragged into the issue. As these explosive revelations collide with Hontiveros' own proposed law against subornation of perjury, will the pursuit of truth stand firm? Or will political maneuvering prevail? With us this morning is former Congressman and former Presidential Advisor on Political Affairs, Jacinto Jing Paras. Good morning, Congressman Jing.
Hi, good morning, Karen. Good morning to all our viewers and magandang araw po sa inyo lahat.
Let's start with this controversial video. How were you able to get a hold of this video from alias Rene?
Well, I did not have anything to do with this. I was just, observing the, going the rounds in the social media.
So you only saw it was sa social media?
Sa social media, and of course, my good friend, former BACC, legal counsel or legal advisor, kasama ko rin, si Ferdy Topacio, was very emphatic about this. And he was saying that there's a pattern of this kind of behavior, perpetuated by Senator Hontiveros in trying to bribe witnesses for her purposes,
When you say a pattern, Congressman Jing, ano yung pattern na yun? Back in 2019, there was also a witness, Bicoy,
yes,
who later recanted and claimed he was manipulated by Senator Sonny Trillanes and Senator Risa Hontiveros. And then in 2021, you also have this Jaime Vegas who filed a complaint with the Ombudsman and alleged that Senator Risa bribed VJ Almira, who was a witness in the Senate Blue Ribbon Committee hearing on Farmally.
Well, so, as early as, well, I can only speak directly as far as my personal experience on Senator Hontiveros, should I say, attempt or she had done about, trying to make witnesses be her pawns in her fight against other politicians, other people. My personal experience is, as a matter of fact, I filed criminal case against her for trying to, well, I should say, kidnap the witnesses. There were 3 young people who were supposed to have witnessed the killing of Kian de los Santos. Purposely to come up with, allegations against then President Duterte in his war on drugs. So I was then, together with Attorney Topacio, we were, I was not with government at the time. I was legal advisor of Volunteer Against Crime and Corruption. And one instance was that the father of these 3 children, one 9, I think one is 13, 9, and I think 6.
So all minors.
All minors. The father, who was just got out from jail, and it seems that the mother was an OFW. So these children were part of the witnesses in the investigation concerning the Kian de los Santos murder, no? And right after the investigation, parang kinupkup ni Senator Risa itong mga bata. So yung tatay, the father, came to the BACC, and she said that she needs help to locate her children or his children, and try to find out who was the one keeping them. So Dante Jimenez then was the president, and he told us, "Pare, tulungan niyo naman kami." And I was with Attorney Topacio. So we helped the father, and we requested the CIDG to be involved. There was a representative from CIDG then who went along with us. We were able to discover that the children were kept by Hontiveros in her office in the Senate, because she took custody of them right after a hearing conducted in the Senate. So when we went there, we wanted to see face-to-face Hontiveros. A certain attorney Mendoza, or Karen or Christian Mendoza, said that, no, the senator is busy, but we don't have the children anymore. We have turned them over to Abad, David, Bishop David of Caloocan. So there was, we discovered that there was a connivance between Hontiveros and David, because when we went to Caloocan, the children were there. But David did not want to turn over the children. In fact, because the father was very overwhelmed in seeing the children, he stayed behind. Then they started manipulating the father. So that's the end of the story. They were able to convince the father not to. But
what did they convince the father to do?
Just to have the children stay put. Because our thinking then was they wanted to use the children against PRRD.
Were they able to do that?
They were not able to do that, I think, in the end. But we who were very concerned about this thing, we thought that we should file a case against Hontiveros for.
When did you file that case?
This happened in 2017, a long time ago.
Okay, and the allegation was for what offense?
It was kidnapping of minors under the revised penal code, and also obstruction of justice, because the PAO and the DOJ was looking for these children to be their witnesses, because at the time they wanted to be serious in persecuting the perpetrators of the murder of Kian.
So what are you saying here? That the children were taken so that they could not testify in that case of Kian?
Ang thinking namin, Karen, was that they'll try to mold the children to testify that the war on drugs is really not serious, but it is more of an EJK, extrajudicial
But
killing.
where are you getting that theory? That they were going to try to mold the children to testify against
Because during
war
the
on drugs?
hearing, Hontiveros was already questioning the war on drugs. And it was timely that she needed people to testify that the war on drugs of President Duterte was not really to capture these drug traffickers and so on and so on, but rather it was more on a violation of human rights.
But since those children never got to testify against the war on drugs, does your theory still hold that they were kidnapped and then they attempted to manipulate
because
them?
they have continued. In fact, this has ripened into investigation. You know, this team of Trillanes, De Lima, Hontiveros, and this certain father, a father from Ateneo, they were the ones who continued in, as Attorney Topacio said, that he was, privy to other, manipulation of witnesses to testify.
Sorry, who was privy to the other types of manipulation?
Attorney Topacio, he was a witness to, personal witness that Hontiveros was trying to manipulate a witness who turned around, who recanted their testimony.
Are you talking about yung back in 2021?
Yeah.
Dun sa farm
But you know, there's really a pattern itong ginagawa ni Hontiveros, because as early as I think the impeachment of Chief Justice Corona, there was already a testimony during the course of Senator Miriam Santiago's interpellation of the witnesses. There was one witness who revealed that when Senator Miriam says, where did you get all these documents, that you are using? And these are all hearsay. And the witness says, well, ma'am, it was turned over to us by Senator, he was not yet a senator at the time, by Mrs. Hontiveros. So, if you look at all of these things, there seems to be the attitude of, trying to subvert the truth by using witnesses who are perjured.
Well, since you're talking about there seems to be a pattern, what was your reaction when Alyas Rene came out recanting his prior testimony?
Well, to my mind, it's just one of those things. But she always got away with it, because at the time I filed a case against her, it was then, I think, Ombudsman Conchita Morales. And of course, tao ni Noynoy yan eh. Hontiveros and Noynoy were like this. As early as during the time of GMA, we were in the opposition. We were together against GMA, and including former President Aquino, and they got very close. So I even suspect that her winning the senatorial candidacy was a manipulation of the COMELEC, upon the orders of President Aquino. That's why later on, I filed an impeachment case against Andres Bautista, and he was forced to resign instead of endorsing the Senate, endorsing to the Senate the impeachment articles. So these are all interrelated. That's
so
why
right now you filed a complaint also against Senator Risa Hontiveros before the Office of the Ombudsman. What is the content of that
that
complaint?
was, well, there was another incident, by the way, because during the course of the hearing, Justice Secretary Vit Aguirre, because we're good friends, and we were trying to investigate, discuss certain possible cases against Hontiveros. We were texting. I didn't know that at the time that we were texting, Justice Aguirre was in the Senate answering queries, no, in the course of the hearing. I was texting him. A photographer, I think, maybe ordered by Hontiveros to take pictures of, a very powerful camera of our conversation. Then later on, she delivered a privileged speech that we were plotting against her. So that was one of the cases also I filed.
What case did you file?
Wiretapping.
Anti-wiretapping.
Oh,
Does that apply
anti-wiretapping.
because it's an old law, anti-wiretapping? Normally, it's if you use a device
Yes.
to hear people's conversations. But would taking a picture
Well,
of
it's part of it
conversation be
because
part of it?
it does not say only conversation, but it's also say any data or if you secure a data unauthorized.
What about
using
Data
devices.
Privacy Act? Does that not apply?
Well, the more reason that we will file a case. But in that particular case, we will just file wiretapping.
So when you filed that anti-wiretapping case,
Sabay yun doon sinabay ko doon sa kidnapping of minor, obstruction of justice.
So this was back in 2017.
2017.
Ano na nangyari dun sa dalawang case na yun?
That's
The
why
kidnapping
I
and-
felt bad because until now, I have not even received any response from the ombudsman. What happened to that case? Maybe it was manipulated because at that time it was Carpio Morales. Kakampi nila yon. Then later on,
But we had 6 years under President
yes,
Duterte. Bakit
and
walang nangyari?
that's why I said in my blog, and I addressed it to Ombudsman Martires, and I said, ito si Martires, sabi ko, he was already an associate justice, and he was eager to become ombudsman, but he's not doing anything about this case. So now, if he's listening to us, maybe I would again appeal to, in his dying days of his being an
term.
ombudsman.
Yeah,
Because,
patapos na ang term
baka
ni-
naman, in the light of all this, social media revelation about this Hontiveros doing all these things for so many years, then it's about time that a pending case should be, really
Finally acted upon.
acted upon.
Yeah.
Furthermore, I also said in my podcast that this thing about bribing witnesses, being a senator, should be investigated by the Committee on Ethics. And here I call upon my good friends in the Senate, especially Robin Hood Padilla, who's a do-nothing senator. It's about time he should prove that he loves President Duterte so much. I challenge him to file this ethics committee case and against Hontiveros for perpetuating this, or Bato or Bongo. I call upon them to file cases against Hontiveros. This is so much. For so many years, he's doing this, allegedly. So, it's
Get a
about
private citizen file with the
Yes,
Senate Ethics
yes,
Committee.
yes.
Why don't you take that initiative
Well,
para hindi naman maging opposition versus, well, I suppose during...
But I think that's the duty of every senator.
Oh, pero baka hindi na magkabahid politika because they're seen to be
Or
on opposing sides.
any senator for that matter. I only appeal to these guys because alam naman nila talagang binubugbog si Presidente Duterte nitong Hontiveros even during the hearing. So it's about time that they should also do their part, you know. They became senator, they became somebody because Duterte made them. So it's about time that they should give him in return.
Si Alyas Rene po ba nakausap nyo at any point?
No,
Were you
hindi po.
able- Never.
Hindi po namin, hindi po. I think it's Atty. Torion. I heard that Atty. Torion had a chance, but it makes me wonder why witnesses have turned the tide. But alam mo,
But kung nakakausap po, let's for example, si Atty. Torion, who's the lawyer of Pastor Apollo Quiboloy, was able to talk to Alyas Rene, paano naman na malalaman ng publiko na hindi naman ito issue na coerce
ano ko lang
naman
yun,
si Alyas Rene?
nabasa ko lang yun.
Oo.
I cannot say for sure that happened and how this Alyas Rene came into being and has revealed all these things. This must be a proper case for investigation in the Senate.
Yeah.
Huh? And goes along the ethics, ethics case if it's proven that it is true what this Alyas Rene is saying, that he was bribed 500,000, then later on another 500,000, total of 1 million.
Yeah. I was wondering as well, sino yung tumulong kay Alyas Rene na mag-take nitong video because obviously he's not taking a selfie. Someone took his video.
Well, anybody can,
Yeah.
like us, can ask one of them to take video of us, maybe his relative or his friend.
Yeah.
So I would not have much information about that, except that it has gone to the mill in the social media.
So for you and Atty. Topacio, are you planning to file any additional case against Senator Risa based on this recent event?
We'll discuss that, no? Right now, there's no such move yet, but it's more of our appeal to the members of the Senate to, clean up, to clean up the Senate of scalawags like this, For so long, according to Miriam, according to the family, according to the other incidents, there's a pattern. And, that guy, in fairness to Quiboloy, he is in jail because of the well-publicized, hearing that he is a rapist, that is, it's so unfair to him that one of the witnesses used in accusing him is in fact a fake witness, someone that is being just, bribed to malign Pastor Quiboloy. And others who were victims of this kind of manipulation. Hindi po tama to, hindi po, and coming from a senator, allegedly. Di ba napaka masahol naman para sa taong bayan na isang senador pwede palang gumawa nito para lang to perpetuate, to become, and even to have even an ambition to run for president in 2028. Baka makalusot pa yan, tapos ganun pala ang ugali nito.
Well, Congressman Jing, when it comes to you personally, meron po bang pinanggagalingan yung conflict ninyo ni Senator Risa?
Wala po. In fact, we were good friends. In fact, I remember when we were together in the House of Representatives, during the time when when the Garci tape was prevailing at the time, we were in the opposition against Jimeno. We were good friends. In fact, when her husband died, she was a congressman. We paid her a visit. We had a vigil in her office to sympathize, to condole with her. So there was no any animosity between us, except that this is a crime committed. When you kidnap witnesses, I mean, any Tom, Dick, and Harry, any Filipino would not tolerate such kind of a behavior coming from a senator.
So that was the first time na nagkaroon kayo ng, I suppose, ano ba, like a conflict na nag-file ka ng case against her. Was that incident when you were with
it was
VACC?
It was out of because I was with the Volunteer Against Crime and Corruption at the time. So, ito lahat, like yung impeachment kay Bautista, it was kami ni Attorney Topacio, we were just concerned that this thing should really be, if nobody does it, then it should be us who should take the cudgels against these bad people.
Well, you are identified with former President Duterte as well as Attorney Ferdy Topacio.
At the time, we were not. When I filed this case,
nag-file kayo
I was
ng case
I was not with President Duterte.
Well, now that we're talking about Alyas Rene, who recanted his testimony, and someone like you as a lawyer, how reliable is a witness who recants his testimony? But before you answer that question, we'll have to take a short break. At the forefront, we'll be right back. Welcome back at the forefront. Congressman Jing, with Alyas Rene recanting his testimony, your assessment as a lawyer, how reliable is a witness who recants?
Well, if we base it on the recantation of Ragos, it seems that the court gives so much, weight to recantation, because we know for a fact that this dilemma should not have gotten scot-free. If the judge was very thorough in quizzing the recantation. So if that is the prevailing thing now, that recantation is given so much weight, then there is reason why the recantation of Rene should also be given much weight. That,
so you're saying with respect to Ragos, it was the basis for the regional trial court
basis.
To acquit.
Yeah, in fact,
Senator
he did it twice.
Dilima.
This judge did it twice. But the CA was very emphatic that why is she acquitted on the basis of just a recantation without even explanation as to. And former Justice Secretary Aguirre was very blunt about saying that how can he recant this Ragos? How could he recant when there are so many videos when he was interviewed? He was flawless yung Then suddenly he recants and it will be the basis for the acquittal of Laila de Lima. It's too good to be true.
Okay, well,
but that is the Marcos administration, so, and they are very friendly with de Lima, friendly with the left, and so on.
So are you implying that the recantation, when it comes to Ragos' testimony against Congresswoman Laila de Lima, has something to do with this administration?
Yes. As a matter of fact, it took the Solicitor General to question that. It should have been the Department of Justice, because they were the prosecutor, and they just let it go. So it's the initiative of the OSG to file a certiorari with the Court of Appeals. Otherwise, all these cases that were for the dismissal of the crimes of alleged crimes of de Lima, it seems there's some touch of politics there.
Well, what about this case now of Alyas Rene? If you're saying that it seems like recantation would have something going on behind the scenes that we're unable to see. In that case, yung kay Ragos nga, you're saying that the administration may have something to do with him recanting his testimony against Congresswoman Laila de Lima. But now with Alyas Rene, do you think there was also someone that forced him to recant his testimony?
Well, maybe out of conscience siguro, or I could not go to that extent. That is why I'm challenging the senators, because this is a black eye on the part of the Senate. There's an allegation about one of their members, and they should take initiative to clean up the image of the Senate, because if we just let this go, then this becomes part of history, that this Senate is a bastion of purely politics. There is nothing really good about it. No, kasi anyone can just. In fact, it's pretty obvious. Hontiveros conducted an inquiry by herself. She was the only one who investigated Quiboloy and showed these witnesses with their mask or whatever.
Oh, you mentioned kanina while we weren't on air yet, a certain Attorney Sabio who also recanted. What was that about?
Well, Attorney Sabio, if I recall, was the one who initially filed a case against President Duterte in the ICC. But I saw a video later on where he said he was withdrawing the case because he doesn't want to be used. It was for the purpose of perpetuating justice. But it seems that the people who were asking him to file the case or who convinced him were the same people who came up with this decoy, and he was supposed to be convinced by Trillanes to be a witness, to be the lawyer for Bicoy, because initially, he lawyered for Las Cañas and Matubato, but sabi niya, oh, this is again another manipulation. So he realized that Las Cañas and Matubato were manipulated witnesses. And sabi niya, I could not continue being used.
Sino ang ina-accuse ni Attorney Sabio
Well,
as being used, accusing him?
These conspirators, Trillanes, Hontiveros, De Lima, at saka yung a certain father, isang pare dyan sa Ateneo daw or something. As a matter of fact, I heard that there's a woman whom they detained and they wanted her to testify who had filed cases for kidnapping or for illegal detention. I heard that. I could not just get the total story about that. But it's DOJ that filed against filed the case against Trillanes and that priest for keeping that woman inside a certain place.
Would you know if that case is still ongoing?
I think it is ongoing because I heard it in the news or some other stories in the social media.
How do you respond to Senator Risa's claim that the witnesses came voluntarily? In this case, including Alyas Rene.
Well, it's her word against these people. Of course, you're a senator, you're a very powerful person. You can always, manipulate. You can always spend money to whitewash all these things. They have the power. They have the influence. So how can Alyas Rene fight them? But if he's telling the truth and out of conscience, you realize na kawawa naman si Pastor Quiboloy, he's one of those responsible for his incarceration, baka na konsensya naman siya. And we cannot always presume that he is paid or he is being, contacted by other people. Oh. So it's neither here nor there. That's why I call upon the proper authority to investigate this and let the truth come out. Kasi kalaban ni Alyas Rene, isang senador, very influential. Yung mga kanyang mga pinklawan at mga dilawan, kakampi na ngayon ni Marcos. So, nakakatakot na mawa-whitewash lang ito lahat.
Are you worried about the safety of Alyas Rene?
Yes, I'm very worried. I'm very worried because if this woman, this senator, has been doing this for a long time, and she's an expert in manipulation. She's also an expert in threatening witnesses, in even maybe getting rid of them. So allegedly, that can be her expertise.
How would you respond to allegations that the cases that you filed and Attorney Topacio filed are politically motivated against Senator Risa Hontiveros?
Well, the only thing I can say is that I was not employed with government. I was not then a member of the Duterte family government, no, the government. When we filed that, we were volunteers for the BACC. Kami ni Topacio at the time and it just so happened na Dante Jimenez, who was then the president, and we were the legal advisor of BACC, asked a favor na, pare, ano nyo naman ito? Tingnan mo naman, andito yung tatay, nakiusap, yung mga anak niya, nawawala. After daw the investigation sa Senate, the children disappeared. So, it was not motivated by any politics, but it was motivated by our duty as a citizen to fight against evils of government. So,
Kung sakaling walang Senate inquiry or investigation on this matter of witnesses, as you said, the pattern of witnesses that eventually recant and say that they were only coerced by Senator Risa to testify, would you initiate any complaint?
Well, if I had the proper evidence, if I had the chance, if I will have the chance to get or get access to this Alyas Rene, and will be able to get to the bottom of what he's saying, then I will again volunteer. In fact, we're even thinking of filing an impeachment case against Marcos. We're contemplating on that. People should if they file impeachment, a useless or an impeachment that has no basis against Sara Duterte, and they made it a big thing. There are more cases. There are more possible charges against Marcos for an impeachable offense. So, I'm just saying that we can always do what we did before. Impeachment of Bautista out of our sheer, trying to find justice. And also, for the same reason, why not file also impeachment case against Marcos? If there is if there are people who can file charges against Duterte, then there are also people who should be conscious that Marcos has committed more crimes than Sara Duterte.
Bakit nyo naman nasasabi na mas maraming kinumit na crime si President Bongbong
Well,
Marcos?
I don't want to enumerate, but I
Yeah.
already have compiled. One of that is itong pagkidnap kay Duterte. Huh? So many violations of the Constitution. Those are culpable. Violation of the right of abode. That's one. It's not really Sara Duterte that has committed the crime of spending. Because without Marcos violating the Constitution, that amount of money should have not gone to the DepEd. In fact, if you watch Frank Drilon, he said it that there was no item. But why? How come from the contingency fund of Marcos he released? That's a violation. But that needs to be really looked into. But outright, that's a violation. Marcos violated the rights of those who won in Maguindanao. Ginawa niyang OIC yung gobernador, elected by the people.
Okay, so there are
so
allegations
many.
that you want
so
to
many.
look into.
There are so many charges that we can file against Marcos.
Well, going back to Alyas Rene, if you look at the video, parang ang mga sinasabi naman ng mga iba, parang scripted siya because even when he mentions the name of Pastor Quiboloy, it's Pastor Apollo Quiboloy, parang kompleto siya. Well, as a lawyer, when you've seen this video doing its rounds in social media, ayan, nakikita natin dito, Pastor Apollo Quiboloy. So, in your opinion ba, ang assessment mo dito, this is a sincere recantation or para bang scripted siya?
Well, hindi natin talaga masabi no? Attorney Karen. Hindi talaga natin masabi kasi, alam mo, it's either here nor there. That's why, as it is, it rings a bell. But it needs more, quizzing. Kailangan talaga yan.
Or kumbaga sa due diligence, it raises a red flag, pero kailangan siyang aralin ng mabuti.
You go to the bottom. Kasi, on one side, you can say, yun na nga, mapupuna mo ganun. But on the other side, you have to get the totality of it's not only that, na the mention of the word completo, Pastor Quiboloy. But you have to get to the bottom of, it should be the whole story. That makes it, palatable to the people, di ba?
So more investigation on this matter is needed.
That's why the Senate, dapat nga, yung mga senador na yung 18, araw-araw bumabanat si Hontiveros against them. Kini-question yung credibility nila. So why not question her credibility also? Di ba?
Senator Risa Hontiveros said early this year that she is willing to be the flag bearer of the opposition in 2028. Is it possible that the controversy right now is a black propaganda to get her out of the presidential race early? But before you answer that question, we'll have to take a short break. At the forefront, we'll be right back.
Yeah.
Welcome back at the forefront. Congressman Jing, Senator Risa Hontiveros said early this year that she is willing to be the flag bearer of the opposition in 2028. Is it possible that the controversy right now is just a black propaganda to get rid of her, to get her out of the presidential race early?
Well, it's too good to be true. Kasi, malayo pa yun Malayo pa yun At saka, kung titingnan mo, para sa akin, walang chance yan dapat, na-overtaken siya Siguro kung wala si Bam Aquino, baka may chance siyang maging kandidato, but not probably a winner. But it seems now that with Bam Aquino as number 2, ito na yung i-develop ng mga dilawan at mga liberal party because may pedigree. Ito wala namang pedigree ito yung Hontiveros Bam Aquino has history. Kapinsan niya si Noynoy, tita niya si Cory Aquino. So may chance na yun ang itutulak ng opposition given the next 3 years.
In your assessment, may hatak pa ba yung apelido na Aquino when it comes to politics?
I think so. Ninoy, wala namang talagang masama na kay Ninoy Aquino. He sacrificed. He was the cause of the people power. Yun ang I was then a young man when we did EDSA 1.
Were you an activist back then?
No, it just happened that I was very close to Ninoy Aquino at the time. We were fraternity brothers, and before he left for Boston, I had the chance to have a long talk with him. Then suddenly, when he returned, he was murdered at the airport. That it was not only the cheating that they alleged against Cory Aquino, but what created really the people. Araw-araw, daming tao.
Ito yung sa EDSA 1 pa.
EDSA 1 yan. Yung namatay si Ninoy. Multitude of people. The way they treated Ninoy then is the way they're treating Duterte now. Ganon katindi. As far as I can recall. And eventually, EDSA came about. EDSA 1. So, it's not far that Duterte will be able to create that history repeats itself.
So you're saying na when it comes to parallelisms, maaaring magkaroon ng parang EDSA type of movement because of what's happening with former President
Kung hindi
Duterte?
nila hinuli si Duterte, there was already in fact, that's the fear of Marcos. Kaya nga sinasabi nitong mga minions niya na the interim release of Duterte will do more harm than good. Anong ibig sabihin? Will do more harm than good? Well, probably in their point of view, if Duterte is out, he will be able to campaign against Marcos. In fact, there was already a sign when he first made his rally in Cebu, first campaign rally for the PDP Laban, napakadaming tao. Ano yun, sigurong natatakutan ni Marcos na, wow, pagkawala natin ito, hindi natin hulihin ito with our connivance with the ICC. Baka mamaya, this will ripen into a real big, people power.
Well, now that we've mentioned ICC, the DOJ has recently announced that they already have some of the witnesses for the ICC in their custody. Given the recent developments with Alyas Rene recanting his statements and the pattern with also witnesses supposedly or allegedly being coerced to testify, are you worried that something similar might happen when it comes to ICC witnesses?
Firstly, why are they saying now that they have the witnesses? And yet they were saying that there were no witnesses to testify against Duterte. Because otherwise, if they already have the witnesses, why should they rely on the ICC when we have a working justice system? Kung may testigo ka, bakit mo pa ipapile doon? Bakit ka pa gagastos ng aeroplano or pera para dalhin doon? Kung pwede naman, DOJ ka bakit hindi mo ipaila ng kaso dito si Duterte? Our courts are working. And as early as I recall in the investigation ng House, I don't know if it was good government, yung isang babae na representing the DOJ, I think she said that there were about 7,000 incidents on EJK, on the war on drugs, that were already turned over to the DOJ. And they said that we were even having task force. So bakit wala maipile? Ang layo pa nung kinidnap nila si Duterte, ang layo pa. So it's really a self-perpetuating thing na talagang mayroon na talaga silang bahala na i-sacrifice nila yung justice system. Basta lang mahuli si Duterte because it's their fear na Duterte in the Philippines or Duterte out sa kulungan, he can create really havoc to this God-forsaken government of ours.
You mentioned earlier na kaibigan mo si Ninoy Aquino. Were you also friends with former President Benigno Aquino III?
Yeah.
So
We were good friends.
oo, so it sounds like you were okay with former President Aquino and former President Duterte. So what do you want to happen now when it comes to these people that have recanted their testimonies, yung pattern nga na pinag-uusapan natin? What do you see want to come out of it?
Well, ito isolated to eh. It's nothing to do with other people. It's just focus on the bad deeds of, alleged bad deeds of Risa Hontiveros. Itong mga ito, these conspirators, Trillanes, De Lima, itong Hontiveros, as early as mayor pa si Duterte, si De Lima, nag-imbestiga na. And I know for a fact, dahil it was then Boy Nograles, si De Lima was just appointed as
Commissioner
of
Commission
Human
on
Rights.
Human Rights, yes.
Oh, it was Boy Nograles who requested her to investigate Duterte. Dahil hindi manalo-nalo si Boy Nograles kay Duterte sa Davao. And he was influential member of Congress at the time. I know that for a fact because kinwento ni Boy, kaibigan ko si Boy. Sabi niya, pinapaimbestiga ko si Duterte, pare. Sa mga kagaguhan niya sa Davao. So, ginamit niya si De Lima. Pero, nagiging tuloy-tuloy na yun. Kasi De Lima's hatred for Duterte.
Bakit naman may hatred?
I don't know. Maybe it gets on her blood. I could not go to the extent. Because until now, So, bumabawi lang si Duterte sa ginagawa. It was all De Lima who started against Duterte.
Okay, well, aasahan po namin, Congressman Jing Parasa, to get more updates from you, especially with the cases that you filed.
Tayo naman, we're ordinary citizen now. But we are conscious of what's going on with our country. That's why I have this podcast to do some comments on what's going on, so that we are updated with what's happening to our country.
Thank you so much, Congressman Jing
Marami pong
Paras.
salamat.
And thank you for
Attorney Karen.
sharing your insights with us.
And thank you also for giving me this opportunity.
At the Forefront tried to get in touch with the office of Senator Risa Hontiveros to get her side, but they declined as they are giving an official statement to the media today. Tune in to Bilyonaryo News Channel for the press con of Senator Risa Hontiveros on this issue. Congressman Jing Paras laid bare his convictions, unwavering in his call for accountability, as he detailed allegations against Senator Risa Hontiveros. His words reflected both a personal and political history marked by fierce confrontations over witness credibility and Senate integrity. As the nation watches closely, the stakes for truth and justice have never been higher. And before we end, I would like to express my gratitude to Asia's Golden Icon Awards for the recognition that I received as Asia's Influential Legal Voice in Media Award. Thank you so much for this honor. Join us again tomorrow for insights on issues that matter. This is Attorney Karen Jimeno. Thank you for spending your hour with us.